Senzo Mchunu is saying that he didn't really want to disband the PKTT. He only wanted the integration process. He just wanted the PKTT to not just be a free-floating task team. He wanted it to be under the serious and robbery unit, or the unaliving and robbery unit, whatever that he wanted it to be under. In this video, let us talk about this plan that seems great, but it's actually flawed.
The National Political Killings Task Team being absorbed into serious and violent crimes. So if you look at it practically, the actual intention, all the time, it has been you transform, you absorb, because you have established a specialized task, or you have established a specialized unit. Take what you have been doing in the PKTT, absorb it here. You are not throwing it away. You are not firing people. So that question is answered by practically what would happen. Practically what would happen is less of disbandment than actual absorption. That's the actual real issue that we were dealing with.
Senzo Mchunu is saying that he wanted the PKTT to integrate, for it to be part of the murder and robbery unit.
On the back of that, when you made the decision to disband the PKTT, which you say you decided on the 29th finally that you're going to disband the unit, what did you know at that point about the strength of the murder and robbery units, not just in KZN, because remember this is a national task team, as you tell us, so it may be based in KZN, but it's a national team. What did you know about the strength of the murder and robbery units across the country at that time?
I knew that, with the exception of Northern Cape, they had been established and that they were functional. We had not yet focused on what exactly in detail in Limpopo or in KZN or in Gauteng, but they were at different levels. What I know is that that was the only concern that was the only, I would say, issue that we need to beef up, we need to strengthen via a number of things, training, equipping. Myself, I was even talking about what we ended up doing.
However, as the advocate has asked, Advocate Baloyi has asked a very important question. Is this unit that you want to take the PKTT under well equipped? And also, as I've said in my first video, these are the units that are overseen, or that Shadrach Sibia has oversight over. So is this team well equipped to have the PKTT as a sub-team under it? And this is how the minister answered.
And able to take over that murder and robbery in those provinces, is ready and able to deal with the work that the political killings task team was doing. I'm asking that kind of simple question, that do we have verifiable evidence that you were provided with that information and you had that information when you made your decision that it is not necessary to have the PKTT because our murder and robbery units across the country are sufficiently capacitated at that stage to take over this important function?
There is the Marai report of March 2024. And over and above that, when we were reviewing the structure, we did get presentations. I may not be precise in terms of the level of detail on units, especially murder and robbery, in all provinces. But I know that there was confirmation, as I've said, of their existence, and no concern was raised at the time that they presented. There was a feeling that, or there were presentations that said, we do have...
Minister, I don't quarrel with their existence, and it's not my question. My question is not whether you satisfied yourself that they existed. It's not that. It's a completely different question. It is, you satisfied yourself because of information given to you that those units across the provinces are in a position to carry on the work. that was being done by the PKTT? That's what I'm asking. But you've referred to the Marai report, so I'll leave it to Ms. Sillo to talk us through the Marai report and point us to where.
This is very problematic because clearly this team is not equipped. And this report that is talking about, I don't think this is true. Because the question that I have is, where is the evidence that there was actually reports that this team is ready for the integration process of the PKTT to be under this team?
Because you did not know how the integration would take place. So how can you say, if the unit is disbanded or if the team is disbanded, then I know that it would result in the murder and robbery unit being properly capacitated? How do you arrive at that conclusion?
I arrived at that conclusion because in the reports and in the assessments, including implementation assessments, latest 2024, that's exactly what they were saying.
And in his words, he says that the integration is very important because it will allow for people to not lose their jobs and for people to, stay in their jobs. And Advocate Sesi took it the direction that I wanted her to take it to, which is the testimony of Lieutenant or Major General Dumisani, Khumalo, if I'm not mistaken. Major General Khumalo did say this when he came to testify about the issue of them being sent back to their stations of origin.
How did it come about that your analysts have now gone back to their stations? Was there an instruction, a specific instructions to them, and where did it come from? So was there an instruction? Where did it come from? And did that instruction though recognize that the PKTT continues to function?
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. I had a luxury of seeing the information note that was prepared for the current team of 56 members to remain. And in that information note, it was then written that agreement was then reached that the team must be scaled down, or instruction given that the team must be scaled down. Please, I must not be misquoted in that. And those that will remain, it will be mostly the detective in order for them to oversee the matters that are court going. And the under investigation dockets are being withdrawn from PKTT. Therefore, in that instance, there was no need for these other disciplines. That is why your ballistic, your LCRC, your call data analyst, operational analyst, DFOs, intelligence gathering capacity, they had to go back to their origin of units or stations. That's how the decision came about. And that is why the team is left with only 56 members.
This to me does not sound like an integration at all. This sounds like a clear disbandment of the PKTT. And this sounds like people are going back to the work that they were doing. So he's lying by saying this. This is what Madlanga even said during the time of Khumalo's testimony about the disbandment.
The disbandment of the PKTT. Would you agree with that observation? If you say all that the PKTT is remaining for is to see to their finality the court-going matters. So effectively, Minister Mchunu has achieved what he wanted, or not?
I will say partially, Commissioners. Why I'm saying that, the immediate disbandment, which did not had that impact, dockets were removed under investigation and came to Pretoria while the team is still operating, but it was scaled down. That's an achievement he has achieved. But subsequent to that, the National Commissioner continued to sign what we call call-up instruction that moves you from your origin place of work to wherever you're supposed to go and execute your taskings. National Commissioner has successfully done that because even after that letter, the team remained at KwaZulu-Natal, but they were not in full capacity.
So during that testimony, it was confirmed that the disbandment actually continued. People have went back to the stations of origin, even where they are. It's not like they're working or doing the work of the PKTT or the unaliving and robbery unit. They're doing the work that they were doing before they even formed the PKTT. So who is fooling who about this integration of Senzo Mchunu? Senzo Mchunu guys unamanga. There was never an integration process. There was never an integration process. People, this team was disbanded, and the disbandment was clear. in as much as they are still continuing with the work, the PKTT, but that doesn't mean that they were never disbanded. They were disbanded, they were not integrated. He explained it that the integration is them going to the murder. They don't lose their jobs. They continue with the murder and robbery unit, and they still continue with the PKTT work under that unit. But no, that didn't happen. People went back to the stations of origin from the testimony of people like Major General Dumisani, Major General Kuman. So, Senzo Mchunu namanga. He's lying. He had no plan. And this is just the thing that he thought of in the last minutes with his attorneys that, no, this is what we wanted to do. It was an integration process, not really a disbandment. Lies, Baba. You are very old for these lies. And you know what the shocking part, South Africans? He will not lose his job. Ramaphosa will give him back his job. Will give him back even after so much lies. This man deserves to be sent to jail. If he's not even sent to jail, he deserves to never touch the office of government. Ever. But because we're dealing with the ANC that does not care about you or me or what, who said what about the laws and whatever, they're just going to do whatever that they did, even though they see that Mchunu lacks justifications as to why did he disband the team. I agree even with Undlozi. Undlozi, this is what he said, mocking this Senzo Mchunu thing and decision.
We just have one message for Ntate Mchunu. Even if you can bring 1,000 Ncukai Tobis, there is no weapon formed against that commission that is going to prosper. In the end, I saw the big and the small getting into the stand one by one, and they were judged on the basis of the things their lips and tongue have been saying. Yeah. What advocates Advocate Baloyi? You're not going to survive those people. There's more truth in that commission than the entire parliament combined. Hey, give need. Bale kibo na buwini Mandela he. Ya wait. 0861987000. Mchunu. Just prepare to speak the truth, Comrade Senzo Mchunu. Admit. Political interference. Full stop. That's what you did, brother. That's what you did.
I definitely think that he could have just saved us the trouble, because now we're going to spend many hours talking about something that he could have just said clearly that, you know what, I made an error. I made an error of judgment and I could have done better as a minister. I could have been informed. Instead, he's defending his lazy decision of disbanding the PKTT by saying it was an integration process. Amanga. Baba. Yo, wazani bantu basehlabisa, wazani nzolandu babweni. Then they spoke about the IMC.
In none of those minutes, I suggest to you, is there a claim that the IMC established any task team? You are not willing to accept that for the moment?
Not willing, because they were specifically asked or requested or instructed to establish a mechanism. But I can't deny that in the process of doing that, implementing that, they discovered that there had been various teams established before, as I indicate the years, but they were not as effective as the situation required them to do in 2018. And on the basis of the discussion, they then established, but it was no longer the same. And that one that had been established in 2016 had been established, I think, by the Commissioner of Police at that particular time. So they assessed. I'm not denying that there was something that was there. All I'm saying is that by 2018, in whatever form it existed, it was no longer, or it was not seen to be containing or equal to the challenge that was there.
Yes.
Hence, then the establishment of a new outfit.
The interministerial committee that it wanted the PKTT, they loved the work of the PKTT. Why disband? And this is what your minister said.
That is, the focus shifted, not to say exclusively, but inclusively, inclusive of the figure that PKTT doesn't deal with. And that is the murder of people, which happens to be a way higher than those that the PKTT is dealing with. Now, we couldn't not respond to that. We had to respond to that to say, so the call for SAPS ministry is to deal with murders in South Africa. Hence, the meeting that we called, I think on the 21st.
Even after the statistics that were presented during the commission that the PKTT was doing an exceptional work. They were reducing the level of crime in the province. But Mchunu decided that even if they're doing that, I'm going to do my integration, because to him it's not disbandment, it's integration apparently. Before the break, the lunch break, Advocate Sesi asked a very amazing question and said that, okay, you wanted to integrate and do all of those things. Why then didn't you consult the minister, the National Police Commissioner? Why didn't you make it clear to him that you want to integrate and this is the plan of the integration process? Because it seems like it was all in his brain. It was all in his mind. Only he was thinking about all these things without the other people actually thinking the same. We are all from Kuvuki land. We are all in Leon Schuster's movie. We are not here. We are not playing here. Sifuni Qiniso, and he's wasting South Africans' time by just hopping around, touching here and touching there. Just wants to play around it. That's it. Nonetheless, guys, please comment your thoughts. Tell me what you think about this integration thing. And yeah, we will talk about everything else later on. I'll see you guys in my next episode. Bye.